Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for the week of August 4th to 8 hint that there'll be some guilty Rachel Black drama, while Sarah Horton Kyriakis struggles with a secret dilemma. SAMI Brady will also make a Salem comeback, so let's talk about what's ahead on Duel. For starters, Marlena Evans may land in a tight spot after putting Rachel through a new grilling session. It could bring some clues that point to Rachel bearing the memory of shooting EJ DiMera herself. EJ will keep doing everything in his power to raise reasonable doubt in the courtroom and make sure Johnny DiMera walks free. Marlena won't want to see Johnny get convicted of something he didn't do, but she won't be eager to blow up Rachel's world either. This will be a lot for Marlena to navigate, especially when she's dealing with the stress of fainting spells and Queen of the Night dreams. At some point, Belle Black will suspect Marlena knows who actually shot EJ that fateful night. Days spoilers say Belle will try to pry a confession out of Marlena, but there's no guarantee she'll get one. Of course, Marlena's grief over losing John Black is never far from her mind. That's why it'll be nice when SAMI finally returns on August 5th and checks on Marlena as she mourns. SAMI has some sweet mother-daughter scenes coming up with Marlena since she couldn't make it back for John's funeral. This will give SAMI an opportunity to show Marlena some support and get updates on how she's really doing. As for Sarah, she'll have a secret dilemma to contend with. Since Sarah threatened to report Sophia Choi if the baby wasn't safe, Sophia insisted she'd tell her the whole story and spilled off screen. There's no way of knowing whether that story was entirely accurate, but it makes sense that Sophia came clean about the safe haven box and the fact that Tesoro is her son. Days spoilers say Sarah will grow closer to Brady Black in the coming episodes. That should leave Sarah guilt-ridden since Brady doesn't know the truth about the baby, and neither does Tate Black. At some point soon, Javi Hernandez will make a seductive move over dinner with Xander Kyriakis. So she'll plant a kiss on him in front of Sarah and Brady. Sarah will decide to retaliate, so Days spoilers say she'll steal a smooch from Brady next. That'll infuriate Xander and cause him to launch a physical showdown with Brady, so it'll be obvious that he really needs that anger management counseling. Days of Our Lives spoilers say some startling news and heated confrontations are in store. So stay tuned. Days of Our Lives comings and goings reveal that a Javi Hernandez recast is in the works, so Al Calderon is being replaced in the role. Now Days fans are reacting to the surprise actor swap and preparing for a big change on screen. After Deadline reported that Al Calderon was joining Season 2 of Brilliant Minds as a series regular, a spokesperson for the show confirmed that Javi would be sticking around Salem. However, both Deadline and SOD's sources are hearing that someone else will be stepping into the role due to Calderon's latest primetime gig. Javi Hernandez and Rafe Hernandez's cousin will still have a place in Salem, but Javi will be getting a brand new look down the road. Calderon has filmed episodes that'll air through May 2026, but then another actor will be swapped in for more Javi stories. Of course, Javi is currently in the middle of some major drama since he's helping to care for little Tesoro, but he doesn't realize that's Sophia Choi and Tate Black's infant son. If Javi and Leo Stark try to adopt Tesoro at some point, things could get all kinds of complicated. Although Javi is still relatively new to the Salem scene, Days found him important enough to recast and keep around. It'll be interesting to see what other hot plots Javi becomes part of, and whether his romance with Leo is meant to last. There's no confirmation yet on who will be sliding in the role of Javi, but we'll be sure to bring you updates as other casting news emerges. Plenty of Days viewers will miss Al Calderon's portrayal, but it'll be fun to see another take on Javi and welcome a new Duel cast member. It's always a good idea to keep an open mind about recasts and give the newest actor a chance to shine. Steve and Kayla are working on dough for pizza night when she notes that something's bothering him. Steve admits that he found something on the case he's working on that could affect Stephanie. He found something disturbing about Alex. He was arrested for a couple crimes a few years back before coming to Salem. He pleaded guilty in the face of overwhelming evidence. Justin just told Steve that Alex was young and stupid and straightened himself out afterwards. But the incident reminds him too much of the guy Stephanie dated years ago, who turned out to be bad news. Jeremy Horton, who was abusive to her. Kayla insists Alex is not Jeremy. Steve knows, but he's never been a fan of Alex. He's not sure if Stephanie should know, or if he should just drop it. Kayla says Stephanie has a good head on her shoulders, and Kayla did fall for a bad boy with a checkered past. Steve admits he probably did worse stuff than Alex. They both lament, though, that Stephanie's had trouble in love. But she's happy now, and neither wants to rock her boat. Steve will just keep an eye on Alex. That's settled for now. They kiss and start getting frisky. Stephanie gets home to find Alex wearing just an apron and underwear, making dinner. He's got a few surprises up his sleeves. If he was wearing sleeves. He breaks out her book on his tablet, ready to print. She scrolls through, but her joy turns to horror when she sees the passage she wanted gone is still in. Alex apologizes. He forgot to circle around to Kate on it, but he picks up the phone right away to call her and tell her. Kate tells him the manuscript went to print, so there's no way to stop this without scrapping it and costing a fortune. He offers to do just that, but Stephanie warily tells him not to. It's not the end of the world. That passage was just inspired by an ex. Alex points out that it's unlikely he'd pick up a romance novel. Plus, she's got her pen name. He still feels terrible, but Stephanie says she just has to be okay with it. Alex grabs some wine, promises the tacos will be done soon, and tells Steph Kate wants to know if she's got more books. Maybe, but it's a murder mystery. But no, he can't see it. It still needs a lot of work. Instead, maybe they can have some fun after dinner. Cat runs into Rafe in the square, pushing Tesoro in his stroller, where he thanks her for everything she did to bring Ari and Holly home safely. Chad walks over out of nowhere, and they clam up fast. I didn't know you two knew each other. They just say they've crossed paths a couple times, and Cat brought one of Tesoro's toys back that he dropped. Chad makes some small talk, then leaves. Okay, that was close, Cat sighs. Rafe suggests they split fast, but before he goes, Cat tells him she needs to talk to him about something. Somewhere else. They meet at Rafe's office, lamenting being caught in public, but he suggests that at least they've established that they know each other. Now, if they're seen in public, it won't be weird. Cat moves on to her problem. Marlena's hardly been in the hospital since John died, which means Cat has hardly had a reason to be there. The only thing she's gotten has been people complaining about how much of a tightwad EJ is. Shaking the hospital down seems too petty, so Cat asks, "What is Mr. Dimera really up to?" Rafe volunteers to fill her in on all things Dimera. Cat's had run-ins with everyone in town but Tony. What's his deal? Rafe says he's one of the good Dimeras. Unlike his look-alike Andre, but at least they know where he ended up. Megan disappeared in a submarine. Dimitri vanished off the face of the earth. Cat asks about Stefano. He's dodged death before. Are they sure he's gone? Rafe points out that he would be older than Methuselah at this point. Cat brings up the microchip essence, which Rafe says was destroyed. Although they could have made a backup, Cat's suddenly worried, and he points out to never discount anything in Salem. There was a reason that he was known as the Phoenix. Xander brings Victoria to the hospital to see her mom. He wanted to bring her by to spend the night with Sarah, a day earlier than he was scheduled to. Sarah says that's generous, but that rarely happens without an ulterior motive. Xander gets upset and starts to go, but Sarah stops him. She apologizes for questioning his niceness and says she's under stress. She just had a very long, difficult conversation with a patient, and it made her realize how lucky they were to have the means to provide for Victoria. She's grateful she has both parents, and they both admit they love each other still and always will. But while that leaves them in a decent place, hopefully, they have to move forward for Victoria and be at peace with separating. They both think they are at peace, but seem unsure. Still, Xander gives her the papers from his attorney. Sarah thinks this was his ulterior motive, but Xander tells her he wasn't going to mention it until she said she was at peace with their decision. He didn't do anything wrong, she assures him, then looks through the papers and signs them. Xander will file them tomorrow, then says goodbye to Victoria. Picking up from yesterday, Susan gets a chill mid-chastising EJ to tell him that Stefano Dimera is alive. She's not happy about it, but she's getting a vibe that he's alive, despite EJ reminding her he's been gone for nearly a decade. Why has she never sensed this before? That was before I became a medium. EJ's dubious, and Susan clarifies she's not one yet. She's a medium in training. Turns out, her talents are a blessing from the Lord, and so long as she uses her talents for good, she's good. I'm going to need more alcohol, EJ cheerfully announces and throws back a drink. He's doubtful, but Susan chides him and asks if she's ever been wrong before. Chad drops by to save the day, but Susan just pulls him in. Stefano DiMera lives, and they need to do something about it. The brothers both look amused, but Susan's not. She feels their father's presence, not in body, but in soul. She needs to walk around and let her chakras feel the room. As she starts making a scene wandering around in the background, Chad and EJ have a heart-to-heart where the elder brother thanks him for what he said in the courtroom. EJ asks if he'll stay for dinner, but Chad glances at Susan hugging a lampshade and declines, then heads out. Alone, Susan tells a stunned EJ that she knows he'd talked to Chad to try to skew the press coverage in his favor. She looks over at Stefano's portrait, upset that he's looking at me like that. Chad's running through the hospital when Cat stops him. He thought she had the day off, then ran into him in the square, with Rafe. They talk a bit about him testifying at the trial, and Cat tries prodding him for info about all the troubles with the law the DiMeras get into. Chad's not interested in talking about that. They get onto the elevator together, only for it to stop suddenly. It's dead. Looks like we're stuck, Chad says. Outside, Xander's waiting for the elevator himself, watching Sarah gushing over Victoria. Regrets. We all likely have a few in our lives, and more often than not, they probably revolve around love days of our lives. Stephanie has a few of those, but her biggest might be hooking up with Jeremy Horton. Lately, with her semi-autobiographical romance novel about to be published, she's been worried about an ex reaching out who she never wants to hear from again. We had our suspicions that it was Jeremy, and then, on the July 31st episode, we seemed to get confirmation. For one thing, we learned that the passage in her book that Stephanie was desperate to take out was inspired by an episode with an ex. That wouldn't necessarily mean anything if not for the fact that in the same episode, Steve found some things in Alex's that reminded him uncomfortably of Jeremy. Jeremy was one of the more troubled Hortons, which isn't exactly a huge surprise since the deck seemed stacked against him from the start. He was born off-screen in 1987 after Robin Jacobs left Salem, never telling one-time beau Mike Horton that she was pregnant with their child. By the time she returned a year later with their son, Mike had already moved on. So Robin left Salem once again with Jeremy. He then wasn't seen until Trevor Donovan brought him home, all grown up, in 2007, and he was already dating Stephanie. They'd met while she was racing in Daytona, and Steph introduced him around town and asked her friends to invest in his private airline service, Touch the Sky Airlines. Ostensibly, it was meant to ferry the rich from Salem to Las Vegas, but in reality, it was a front for the DiMeras to smuggle merchandise. As if that wasn't bad enough, Jeremy had serious anger issues, was abusive towards Stephanie, and had been convicted of everything from fraud to shoplifting. Eventually, the smuggling scheme was uncovered, but while the DiMeras got off with a slap on the wrist, Jeremy had to go on the run to stay ahead of the law. At the time, he seemed to want to set his life right, but we haven't seen him since. Jeremy isn't mentioned all that much, and the last time was back at Jada's bachelorette party, where Stephanie admitted to him being one of her big regrets. And now this. Does that mean he could be on the way back soon? Maybe, especially since we know Mike himself will be back after watching Days of Our Lives summer preview. Mike's son is one of the more troubled Hortons, but perhaps, like Julie's brother Steven, he could return some with the news that he really has turned his life around. Though that's not to say he and Stephanie should try getting back together. She's clearly still traumatized by their relationship, but Salem is the town of second chances. On the other hand, if he does see Stephanie's book and is ticked he's in it, he could come back as an outright villain this time. Either way, since Donovan and Annalyn McCord were both on the CW's 90210 requel a few years back, it could be fun to see them mix it up once more in Salem. Days of Our Lives spoilers for the week of August 4th tease some twists. Fans can expect Gwen Rizchek von Leuschner to get another chance with Xander Kyriakis. Meanwhile, Sarah Horton Kyriakis faces a dilemma about a secret she knows. Plus, Marlena Evans will have a family dilemma after questioning Rachel Black. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. Let's start off with Gwen, who is still pining after Xander. She thought there was a chance the night she got drunk with her former flame. However, he clearly isn't over Sarah. That could change now that Sarah has agreed to file for divorce and get a formal custody decision. While Xander will just want to move on, Gwen will likely end up heartbroken once again. Over with Sophia Choi, she is holding on to a huge secret. Everyone is pretty upset with Sophia over her quickie adoption in Chicago. Sarah already figured out that her story didn't add up. However, she also faces a dilemma because Sophia told her that as a patient to a doctor. As Gwen tries to get her paws on Xander again, Sarah will try to move on in her own way. That will be with Brady Black. However, Brady is focused on Tate Black, so Sarah will keep being reminded of Sophia's baby. Brady and Tate might even ask Sarah some hypothetical questions as a doctor, but those could be complicated to answer. Susan Banks could continue hearing from the dead. That could have her running around Salem making more pointy-fingered accusations. Steve Johnson initially rejected Javi Hernandez's request. However, he will change his mind and investigate Xander and Philip Kyriakis. That leads to Steve making a shocking discovery about his own daughter, Stephanie Johnson. So, Kayla Johnson will get in the middle of that family feud. Meanwhile, Stephanie could face some fallout with the pen name and her requirements to promote the book. After Marlena questions Rachel, she could face another dilemma. If Rachel knows who really shot E.J. DiMera, why was she so quick to blame Johnny DiMera? Or could Rachel have shot E.J. herself, maybe while sleepwalking? There is also Chad DiMera and Cat Green. After getting stuck together, will there be more romance? Or could Chad become suspicious of what Cat is hiding? Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of August 4th, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Keep watching the soap on Peacock to find out what happens next. Days of Our Lives spoilers suggest there have been rumors circulating that Suzanne Rogers, who plays Maggie Kyriakis, could be retiring. At the age of 82, it wouldn't be overly shocking if the actress wanted to leave the hectic filming schedule of the soap behind, as she's created an incredible legacy over the years. With that said, a recent report helps clear the air on Rogers' retirement and Maggie's future with the show. The buzz began some weeks ago when Maggie was slated to go on a girls' trip with her daughter, Sarah Horton Kyriakis. But Xander Kyriakis nixed the idea of the mother-daughter duo taking Victoria Kyriakis. A Days spokesperson reached out to Soap Opera Digest to address the retirement rumors. In a statement, the duo rep stated these rumors were the furthest from the truth, noting both Suzanne and Maggie are key to the daytime drama's present storylines, its history, and now, on the heels of our pickup, the future. Neither are going anywhere. Days of Our Lives spoilers remind fans that Maggie Horton Kyriakis has been in the land of Salem for over 5 decades, starting her run in 1973. She is currently the longest-running character on Duel and the longest-running actor in U.S. soap history. In 1979, Rogers won the Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actress category, a true testimony to the talent the actress brings to her Maggie role on Days. While Rogers has spent most of her acting career in the land of Salem, as Maggie has played a key role in storylines since the day she entered the canvas, Suzanne has also dabbled in other acting projects over the years. In the late 70s and early 80s, she appeared in primetime hits like Quincy, M.E., Little House on the Prairie, and Knight Rider. Are you relieved that Maggie and Suzanne are staying in Salem? What's your favorite Maggie memory? Comment below, watch your favorite Peacock soap daily, and check out this site often for the best Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, and updates. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that there could be a new version of Stefano DiMera right around the corner. Even Susan Banks revealed that she can feel his presence. Could this be why Marlena Evans is dreaming about time as Stefano's Queen of the Night? rumors are going rampant about Stefano's return to Salem. Of course, it would be very disrespectful for Day's writers to recast Stefano. This doesn't mean that they won't have someone else show up with Stefano's memory, like Steve Johnson did before. Should fans be getting ready for a new version of Stefano to pop up in Salem soon? Marlena Evans has been having dreams lately about her time as Stefano's Queen of This, compared with Susan's comment about Marlena being very sick and telling EJ that his daddy was there, certainly adds fuel to the rumors of Stefano's return. With Joe Mascolo having passed away years ago, who could be coming back as Stefano now? This week's spoilers have Rafe Hernandez telling Cat Green why Stefano was called the Phoenix. Rafe also brings up the fact that Stefano died years ago and then was thought to be alive later. Dr. Rolf later made a chip that was placed in Steve's brain to make him believe he was Stefano. That chip was later destroyed. Dr. Rolf later tried to implant a clone of Stefano into Kayla Johnson, with plans of having her carry the baby to term. After a while, it was revealed that Vivian Alamain had given birth to twins, Stefan Dimera and Jake Dimera. However, Jake was killed, and Vivian kidnapped Stefan and dragged him to Alemania. Stefan hasn't responded to his brother Tony at all, even though EJ Dimera received a card from him after he was shot. Dmitry von Luschner has been MIA for a while as well. Along with this, Tony Dimera isn't exactly acting like himself either. Could one of these be the new Stefano? Dmitry could be planning this with Megan Hathaway if it weren't for the fact that he is not into woman. However, this didn't keep him from marrying GWEN Rizjek. Stefan was still in love with Javi Hernandez when he was kidnapped, so it honestly looks that Andre Dimera could have been resurrected and become the new Stefano himself. What are your thoughts on Stefano returning? Who could the new Stefano be? Keep watching and let us know your thoughts below. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, July 31st, reveal some bombshells on the horizon in Salem. 2 people question a loved one's power, while 2 exes clash, and someone is nervous. What's set to go down on Thursday? Time to find out. She's always had a sixth sense about things, but now she's claiming she's a medium and can talk to the dead. It makes sense that Chad may question Susan, but EJ? He should know that, despite her quirkiness, his mother is usually spot on. In other news, Kayla Johnson will give Steve Johnson some advice. It sounds like, for the umpteenth time in days, Xander Kyriakis and Sarah Horton Kyriakis clash as they attempt to navigate their new co-parenting relationship. These 2 former lovebirds were always on the same page. However, since Xander found out that Sarah knew about Philip Kyriakis' forged letter scheme, and Sarah knows that Xander was the one who beat his brother up, the couple has been at odds. Still, as they share custody of Victoria Kyriakis, they need to learn to somewhat get along. So will this encounter end in another fight, or will they be civil? Lastly, Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Thursday suggest Stephanie Johnson will be nervous about something, and Alex Kyriakis will be on hand to help calm her down. Since she gave the green light for the manuscript, Stephanie has been on edge, and at first, it seemed to be because of the racy content. Now it sounds like Stephanie is worried about an ex-boyfriend profiled in the novel. So who is this person, and why a cause for concern? Are you pumped about Thursday's show? Comment below. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Friday, August 1st. Kick off the new month with a new potentially sizzling couple as Sarah and Brady find more and more things they have in common. Sarah and Brady have known each other forever. Yet, to quote Beauty and the Beast, there might be something there that wasn't there before. Sarah and Brady are definitely growing closer, and a big part of the reason is Rachel. Sarah raised her as Mackenzie for a year before the baby switch was revealed, and the tot was turned over to Kristen. Kristen will never forgive Sarah for that. And her dislike was from before Brady and Sarah hooked up and formed a sweet little family with Rachel. In the meantime, Marlena has some questions for her granddaughter. Is it about the night EJ was shot? Or about the book they've been reading, which is giving Grandma Marlena the strangest dreams? Another pairing looking to reignite in Salem appears to be GWEN and Xander. Their last attempt at a relationship was colored by GWEN being responsible for Sarah's kidnapping. But that's all water under the bridge now. If Sarah is going to drift towards Brady, There's no reason for Xander to stay away from GWEN. No one is kidnapping Sarah now. She's the one who pushed Xander away. Finally, Cat and Chad are stuck together yet again. These two have no reason not to get together. So why not give in to the inevitable? Days of Our Lives star Susan Seaforth Hayes has demonstrated remarkable strength since the passing of her husband, Bill Hayes. He played Doug Williams, Julie's husband, and the two were lovingly married in real life. Sadly, Bill passed away in January 2024 at age 98. The show has paid respects not only to him, but also to Doug in touching scenes. Now, Susan shared a visit she had to Bill's resting place, paying her respects. On Instagram, Hayes shared some pictures that included her at Bill's grave, on a boat with a lovely sunset in the background, and with a young friend. She lovingly wrote, "I advise anyone over 40 to cultivate young friends. Their support and companionship is quite different from your old friends and keeps you in the thick of life. I am blessed with 6 grandsons, each one endowed with the genes of Bill Hayes, each one married to a top-tier lady." She continued with, "As fathers, husbands, creators, and citizens, they shine with love and purpose. Got to mingle with a crowd of them in Michigan this weekend. Visited my husband's last resting place, where I will join him one day. Shared laughs and kisses, cherry pie, and a sunset cruise on Lake Michigan, where I, of all people, spied the famous wreck of the metropolis. A private time, a poignant time, a perfect time." Co-stars Javi Hernandez and Christian Alfonso shared some heart emojis, as well as Martha Madison, who added, "Beautiful." Mary Beth Evans shared the simple yet meaningful, "Love you." The fans were moved by her words and photos, with one writing, "Susan, what a beautiful post. Thank you. Your family is truly fortunate to have you. Beautiful tribute to your beloved Bill." Illustrating how devoted soap fans can be, one follower wrote, "Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful treasure. I was such a fan of your beloved husband. I was a toddler one days of our lives, began, I love watching the old scenes when you first appeared as Julie, and I loved watching you and Doug grow as a couple. Much love to you, Mrs. Hayes." And another chimed in with, "I just adore you both so much." The past was present on the Thursday, July 31st, episode of Days of Our Lives. Troubled pasts and the return of the Phoenix were big topics. Plus, Sarah and Xander made their legal separation official. Well, it will be official once the signed documents are filed. If you talk to Susan, the resident medium in training at MIT, Stefano is alive. She feels the vibes and everything that comes with that. And now she's in full investigation mode as she attempts to figure out why she feels the late Demera's presence. Not in body, but she feels his soul. Even Kat's and Rafe's conversation turned all things Demera. She's getting a crash course in Stefano's many lives and more for their case into EJ's hospital purchase. Somebody needs to warn Marlena about this. After all, she's having Stefano, Queen of the Night Dreams. And Susan felt something off with her, too. She felt bad vibes in Marlena's body, mind, and soul. Steve's investigation into the Kirikakis bros had an unintended revelation. Before he got to Salem, Alex had a brush with the law. No details were given, but he was arrested for a couple of crimes. Steve tells Kayla that he is still digging into things to see what he can find out. Justin didn't give him any specific details either, but the news doesn't exactly endear Alex to Steve. But he's on high alert because of Stephanie's disastrous love life, which included Jeremy Horton. Years ago in Salem, Jeremy and Stephanie were involved, during her race car driver days. Jeremy was super shady and often up to no good, and it turned out he was abusive towards Stephanie as well. He has to be the ex that she thought had sent that package. Plus, he has to be the ex who Stephanie feels should never see a certain passage in her book. It's the passage she asked Alex to remove from the romance novel she wrote. Unfortunately, things fell through, and it's still in there. So are we about to see the return of Jeremy Horton? And what version will we get? Will we get the seriously shady individual or a reformed guy wanting to be redeemed? And how is Alex's past going to affect his and Stephanie's present? In a nice gesture, Xander delivered Victoria to Sarah a day early. He said Victoria made it clear she wanted her mommy, so he brought her to the hospital, Of course, Sarah questioned his motives. She said he had to have one for doing something so generous. Ultimately, they had a civil yet painful conversation in which they agreed they loved each other, but also agreed a legal separation was the right move. Xander happened to have the papers on him. He had already signed them and simply needed Sarah to sign them too, which she did. However, the two looked at each other like they didn't want it to be over. Yet they had resigned themselves to this scenario, where they're unable to live as husband and wife. It's a big day for mismatched couples in Salem. The August 1st, 2025 Days of Our Lives spoilers photos tease all the action. EJ enlists help from an ally, while new couples in Salem begin to blossom. What is Rita helping EJ with this time? And who does EJ call? EJ will also have an encounter with GWEN. But how much of his latest scheme will she learn? When Sarah finds comfort in Brady in the square, they'll be caught by Xander and Gabby, who have also been getting closer. Here are your Days of Our Lives spoilers for Friday, August 1st, 2025. Xander and Sarah are officially separated, so there is nothing keeping them from seeing other people if they so choose. They may have admitted they were still in love with each other, but they felt that they just couldn't live together. Xander's first move is to have dinner and drinks with GWEN and see what happens. When they tried this the last time, they almost fell into bed together, but Xander couldn't bring himself to do it. Sarah spends some more time bonding with Brady in Horton Town Square, where they usually fall into a friendly embrace. When GWEN and Xander spot them, Xander thinks they are more than just friends. Will that lead him to take GWEN back to a Salem Inn room to finish what they started a few weeks ago? GWEN will be thrilled, but she'd have to know she is just second choice. As for Sarah, will she be able to keep the secret about Brady's grandson from him? Cat and Chad are alarmed when they find themselves stuck in an elevator together. Neither one feels safe after Bonnie fell down this very elevator earlier this year, but they know they have to wait it out. At least they know that nobody is sabotaging the hospital in a soap opera anymore. Cat and Chad have been dancing around their feelings for one another for months, but they rarely have a chance to talk uninterrupted in such close proximity to one another. Well, all that is about to change. Chad has been hesitant about getting closer to Cat after what she did to his family last year. He knows she was under duress, but that didn't take away from the heartbreak that she caused, especially to Abigail's poor parents. Will this elevator incident finally allow Chad and Cat to admit that they have fallen for one another? Jennifer Devereaux would not be happy about this at all. Welcome to the Days of Our Lives Daily YAPP for a quick, and by that I mean you're already halfway done, recap of the most amazing or what the heck did we just watch moments on today's episode. Let's get to it. It's often easy to forget just how insane the 4 decades of DiMera drama have been on Days of Our Lives until someone tries to explain it to a newcomer with a straight face. That's exactly what Rafe tried to do with Cat as they worked on finding evidence that could bring EJ DiMera down. From the crazed siblings and how many times Stefano had risen from the ashes to the essence of Stefano living on via computer chip in Steve Johnson. Cat's eyes got wider and wider as Rafe regaled tales of DiMera chaos to his surprised new ISA partner. Even Cat wondered if Stefano was really dead, considering how he beat death so many times before. At the same time, Susan was wandering the DiMera living room, searching for Stefano's presence. Brothers EJ and Chad found Susan's antics to be amusing, but also a little alarming. Perhaps Stefano is really alive, or perhaps his spirit lives on in the form of one of his offspring. Cat seemed very interested in the Andre and Tony saga, especially since she knew all about Abigail killing Andre. Since Tony has been acting awfully odd lately, there is a theory that he really is Andre. It looks like the DiMera clan and all its sordid history will be taking center stage in Salem once again. Will Stefano once again live, but in a completely different way from ever before? Want more details? We got you! Soap Central has the best full duel recaps on the internet. You can even go back over 30 years and read each and every one of them. If you can't wait until the next episode, we have daily spoilers too. And whatever you do this weekend, do not, seriously, do not forget to read the 2 scoops for some laughs in the as close as we can come to being a watching party without actually being a show. And the best part is if you agree or disagree, we want to know. As always, share your comments below. Here is your Days of Our Lives recap for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. Rafe ran into Cat while he was walking in Horton Town Square with Tesoro. They made some small talk before Chad approached them. He was surprised to learn that Rafe and Cat knew one another. Cat explained it away, saying they had crossed paths a few times and were now acquaintances. Chad accepted the explanation and walked away. Once Chad was gone, Cat noted that it was a close call. Cat needed to talk with Rafe, so they took things back to the office. When they got there, they discussed the Tesoro foster family situation for a few minutes. Rafe admitted that Leo had taken the lead, and even Chad felt that Leo was a changed man. Rafe noted that Chad was a great judge of character. Cat agreed and then worried about what Chad would think if he knew she was an ISA agent trying to take down his brother. "Hey, we are doing this for the greater good," Rafe reminded her. At the moment, they did not think they had hard evidence against EJ. Which begs the question, what is EJ really up to? Cat asked. Talk then turned to the rest of the DiMera siblings before Cat brought up Stefano. From what I've read, he's had a long history of dodging the Grim Reaper. Are we really actually sure that he is dead? She wondered. Rafe seemed sure that he was, even after the essence of Stefano ordeal that involved Steve. But you can never discount anything from happening here in Salem, especially when it comes to the DiMeras, Rafe told Cat. Before Cat left, Rafe alarmed her by saying, there was a reason he was always known as the Phoenix. Stefano would rise from the ashes. EJ was concerned when his mother insisted that she felt Stefano's presence. Stefano DiMera is alive, she declared. She told EJ that she wasn't crazy. Your daddy is the last person I want to see again, but I do feel his presence. I feel it in my bones, she said. EJ wanted to know why Susan had never felt Stefano before. She told her son that was before she became a medium. Now that she was one, she knew what she was talking about. I'm a medium in training. I still got to get my diploma from MIT, Medium Institute of Transcending, she clarified. EJ was so taken aback by his mother's new calling that he needed a drink. Susan looked up at Stefano's portrait and still insisted she could feel him. When Chad appeared, Susan couldn't wait to tell him that Stefano DiMera lives, and that is very, very, very bad. EJ and Susan explained that Susan was now a medium. Susan insisted she could talk to the dead. I feel Stefano's presence, not in the body but in the soul, she said, as she walked around the room searching for Stefano's energy. While Susan did her thing, EJ thanked Chad for being kind about their family when on the witness stand at Johnny's trial. After Chad left, Susan was creeped out by Stefano's portrait staring at her. Cat and Chad later met up at the hospital, where the had proceeded to get stuck in an elevator together. Steve and Kayla spent time making fresh pizza dough in the kitchen. Kayla could tell that something was bothering Steve. He admitted that he found something while investigating a case that could affect Stephanie. Kayla was quickly alarmed. Steve couldn't get into the details, but informed Kayla that he found something disturbing when working on a case involving the Kyriakis clan. Kayla guessed that it was about Alex. Steve discovered Alex had been arrested for multiple crimes several years back. Steve had spoken to Justin, who said that Alex had been young and stupid, but he knew he had made a mistake. Alex received a slap on the wrist and had reformed himself. Steve was concerned because Stephanie had already been involved with another troubled young man, Jeremy Horton. Kayla didn't think it was the same situation. Kayla advised Steve to stay out of things because Stephanie had a good head on her shoulders. I also remember back in the day I did like this bad boy that nobody approved of, Kayla pointed out. Talking about Steve, Alex felt horrible because the book was already being printed, but Stephanie didn't blame him. He promised he would fix the situation, so he tried to stop the presses. Stephanie pointed out how much money that would cost. Stephanie admitted that the passage was based on real life between herself and an ex. Alex didn't think this ex was into romance novels, so Stephanie tried to calm down. The pair settled in for wine and dinner, but Alex had more book talk in mind. He told Stephanie that Kate wondered if Stephanie had any other manuscripts in the works. Stephanie admitted that she had been working on a murder mystery. Sarah was surprised to see Xander and Victoria at the hospital. Xander told her that Victoria wanted her mother, so he offered for Sarah to take her home. Sarah wondered why Xander was being so nice. "What is it? What's the catch?" she asked. "I feel the same way." "So, where does that leave us?" Xander said. "A decent place, I hope," Sarah replied. Xander then presented her with the separation paperwork from his lawyer. "All you have to do is sign on the dotted line," Xander said hesitantly. So, Sarah did just that.